Welcome to Get to the Hook. I am your co-host, Charles Latibeaudiere.
And I'm your co-host, Eric Colley.
And we are getting to the hook this week of, I guess, old. What's old is new again.
Yeah.
And songs that are currently, or songs that get second life based on going viral. And the thing that's weird about it is, like, it's one thing when there's a trend and, you know, your song gets used for a dance, but now almost anything online that people are into suddenly can make an old song a hit. And even if it wasn't a hit back in the day.
Yeah, these artists now are getting hits from their back catalog. Sometimes it's a really huge A-list artist who has just a random album cut become a number one song. Sometimes it's artists that never really got their moment in the sun are finally getting it. That's kind of what brought this up is Imogen Heap. Are you familiar with her?
I'm familiar with the name. I don't know her music very well.
So she never had any hits.
That's
on her own.
I guess that would be why I don't know it.
Well, she's bigger than that. So the thing that everybody would know her for, but she was not officially credited on, do you remember Jason Derulo's first hit, What You Say?
Yes.
Ooh, What You Say? Mm-hmm. That's her.
Oh, okay.
She had a song.
All right.
She had a 2005 song called Hide and Seek, and there's a part in the song where she does that little ooh, what you say part. They sampled that and made it the hook of Jason Derulo's song. Now, she wrote that song, so she got writing credit. She got the credit for being sampled, the production. She was not credited as an artist on Jason Derulo's song, which could have been a game changer for her.
Right.
She wasn't. She still got paid. And
she got paid, but she didn't get the notoriety.
Right. That could have launched her career. But she's had a really good career regardless. The song Clean from Taylor Swift's 1989 album was co-written with Imogen Heap because Taylor's a big fan of hers. Also on her 2005 album, Speak for Yourself, that had Hide and Seek on it. Another song called Good Night and Go. And a big fan of that song was Ariana Grande, who did a slight cover remix of it and included it on her 2018 album Sweetener. So Imogen got chunks of royalties from Taylor's album, from Ariana Grande's album.
So what you're saying is in the industry, folks know Imogen, but
it's that thing of, your favorite artist.
Right.
That's her.
Okay.
But now, finally, she's getting a hit of her own.
Finally getting some shine thanks to a video game?
A horror video game called Mouthwashing. And I'm not a gamer. I was not familiar with this game, but it's a big game. And so the song's not even in the game, but fans of the game are editing together clips of characters and moments from the game, and they're soundtracking it with another song from her 2005 album. It's the third song from this album that's kind of gone viral now. It's a song called Headlock. It sounds like this. There's little short clips of this mouth-washing horror game to that song.
But it's got to be that there's one fan of this game who decided to use that song, and then everyone else saw it, and they thought, oh, my God, that's brilliant. Because it can't be, well, maybe it is.
No,
not having played the game, I don't know, like, did multiple people see it and go like, oh, my God, that's that Imogen song?
No, I think you're right. I think one person did a video set to that song, and fans of the game saw it and thought, oh, this is cool. That song's perfect for this. And they made their own videos of it.
But it also means the game, that's a sign of not only people loving her song, but that there are that many people playing the game and very much into it, and they're posting about it. And that actually,
But that's why, so that can be a blip. You get maybe a week if there's a thing like that. But this is what's great about this. And what I love in this world now, that's the good thing of social media and streaming and virality and all that, is that these songs that got overlooked the first time, because she did release Headlock as a single, made a video for it in 2005, it just didn't get noticed in America. And now people are not just saying, oh, the song fits with these clips from the video game. Also, I kind of like the song.
You're right.
That's why it debuted on the charts last week. It's going to move up this week. People are now listening to the song over and over because they just like the song.
Did the song chart at all when it first came out?
She has never charted as a lead artist. I mean, as a songwriter, she had a number one hit with What You Say. But
as a musician, as an artist, this has got to be like such an incredible, because it's like Christmas on any given week, something you'd totally forgotten about that you just wrote off as like, all right, well, that didn't work and it's not going to be a hit.
Yeah.
And just some random person decides, oh, I like this. And if they attach it to something that is popular enough, now suddenly now
you got a hit. And the record label loves this too, because all the money they might have invested on, recording or producing the song or making a video, any of that, they did that 20 years ago. They don't have to do anything now because fans of the game are posting these clips.
Right.
She's already done the work on the song. Now it's just let the royalties roll.
They don't have to put money into marketing. There's no promotion campaign. It's just, All right, sure.
Built in. And some of these we're going to look at today did get some new marketing pushes behind them to make them go bigger.
I'm gonna be a little cynical. It's not my thing to be cynical. Other than always, it's my thing to be cynical. Could there be people at labels sort of placing songs? Like,
absolutely.
Find gamers? Do they find influencers in different things to be like, hey, here's an idea for a song. Maybe you put this song on there.
Absolutely. The labels are trying to always create some sort of viral moment with music. And they try, but even then, you can't make a thing go viral. That's what's so cool about it.
You got to
it's
find
random.
The right thing that's popular, and you got to find the right influencer, because you could give it to the wrong influencer who doesn't actually have that much influence, and then it doesn't catch. It's like a whole other game.
It is lightning in a bottle. And I do love the idea that now anybody could have a hit with any song at any time. And there's something really cool about that. Like we said, like there's famous songs go viral for different reasons. Like obviously holiday songs every year, the same song, or Thriller. Remember a few years ago when there was the viral video of the guy skateboarding, drinking cranberry juice to the song Dreams by Fleetwood Mac. The song actually recharted and went to number 12 because of that.
Which is pretty amazing, but that's
a classic song. Bohemian Rhapsody re-entered the charts after the movie came out.
Right, but those are songs that don't need to go viral again to be, they're already legendary.
We've seen some people have the biggest hits of their career happen because of this. I want to start with one that not only predates TikTok or streaming, it predates the internet. Because it was much harder back in the day.
I know this one,
but you still could do it because television was basically how things went viral.
Right, television was social media, because everybody was watching the 3 channels we had. That basically was social media. Yeah. Instead of X and Instagram and Facebook, we had ABC, CBS, and NBC. That's it.
And it was also, even if you had a song that was really popular on a very popular TV show, remember, you couldn't Shazam the song to see what it was. You couldn't just go pull it up on Spotify and listen to it. You had to call a radio station or call a record store, ask them what it was.
Right.
Do you have it? And if it's an old song, well, they're not going to have it. It would be out of stock. Why would you have a single?
Right.
But every once in a while, it could happen. And a really major case of this happened in 1986. Family Ties. Did you watch Family Ties?
I did.
With Michael J. Fox, Alex P.
I remember this episode.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing, is they attached it to an episode that was watched by a lot of people, like everyone who was a fan.
It was a really big moment on Family Ties. So I'm sure everybody knows Michael J. Fox from Back to the Future. But also at the time, when Back to the Future came out, he was the star of this sitcom, Family Ties.
Michael P. Keaton.
Alex P. Keaton. Michael J. Fox, I know.
Yes,
yeah.
Alex.
And as big as he got as a movie star, he didn't leave the show. He stayed.
Yeah.
And so his character, Alex, was beloved. He was a very famous character. People loved Michael J. Fox. And they had this whole plot line on the show where he had this girlfriend named Ellen, who was played by Tracy Pollan, who is Michael J. Fox's real-life wife now and has been since the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
But people loved them as a couple.
Maybe because of this song.
I read an interview. Michael J. Fox said anytime they are anywhere where there's music playing, somebody inevitably will play this song. So they had this whole big scene where Alex and his girlfriend were breaking up because she was moving to Paris. And they played this heartbreaking song at a dance, but they knew they still loved each other, but their relationship was over. It devastated fans of the show. So the producers dug up this song from 1981. So the song's already 5 years old at this point. It was an artist, Billy Vera and the Beaters, had a song called At This Moment. When it was released in 1981, it peaked at number 79. Billy Vera wasn't a big artist. He was on a small record label.
It's not even a blip.
Yeah, it came and went. Doesn't mean it's not a great song. It was a great song, and somebody on Family Ties knew that. So they set the scene of Alex and his girlfriend breaking up to this song. This is Billy Vera and the Beaters, At This Moment.
What did you think I would say at this moment?
And people loved this song. They heard it. They called up like, what is this? I have to have this. The song was originally in 81 released on Alpha Records, which had gone out of business by that point. So Rhino Records, this other label, bought the rights to the song. Rush released a single. I mean, you had to actually physically produce a single.
Rhino Records bought it after the episode had aired?
They were like, oh, there's demand for this. We got to get this out there. Because nobody could get the song.
Right.
It was an obscure hit that had been out of record stores for 5 years. They reprint the single, get it back in stores, send it to radio. The song goes to number 70 on the R&B charts, number 42 on the country charts, and went to number 1 on the Hot 100 in January of 1987.
The fact that it got on the R&B charts, I'm sorry.
And
but
country.
If you've ever seen Billy Vera and the
He's a very white guy.
There's nothing, but okay, but that's how popular it was.
It was an R&B hit, a country hit, number 1 adult contemporary. Yeah, and in January of 87, over 5 years after it came out and flopped, it was the most popular song in the country.
It's an incredible story.
Yeah.
Pre-social media.
Pre-social
But
media.
it's the same concept of exactly what happens.
It would have been more immediate. So that episode of Family Ties was in the 85-86 television season. Had there been Shazam and Spotify and Apple Music, the song would have debuted in the top 10 the next week.
Right.
As opposed to taking a year to get to number 1.
A year.
Things were a little slower back then.
The label had to go buy it and then reprint it and get it to radio. But wow.
It's much more immediate now. And it is still television a lot of the times. This next song definitely benefited from a TV show. This was in 2022. Stranger Things, season 4.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't just a song that was used, because they use a lot of music on Stranger Things. It was a plot point. I don't know if you watched Stranger Things or watched that season.
I didn't watch that season, but obviously we were covering it and I know how it was used.
Yeah. So the character, Sadie Sink's character, Max, has to be grounded to reality. I'm not going to get all the Stranger Things nerdy plot points. But they're like, pick your favorite song, and every time you hear the song, that'll keep you safe from this otherworldly villain.
Yeah.
So they kept playing the song throughout the season, and then there's this really huge climactic moment where it literally saves her life. The song literally saves her life. And it's a song that Winona Ryder, one of the stars of the show, pushed for this song because she loves it. That's why it got used. From 1985, this is Kate Bush, Running Up That Hill.
We're running up that road, we're running up that hill, we're running up that building.
And when that song came out in 85, Kate Bush is in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame now. She's a legendary artist. That was her only top 40 hit in America. And in 85, it only got to number 30.
I remember thinking this song was kind of, people are going to hate me for this. It was kind of mid. It was
What? I love that song.
I loved her voice.
She's great.
And it sounded different than, but it just didn't go anywhere from me. It was like this same very repetitive thing. I was like, all right, I get why it's only.
But you need context sometimes, and Stranger Things gave it that context. And it's also, to Kate Bush's credit, it sounded weird and out of place in 1985, even though it's got synthesizers and drum machines and all the 80s stuff. It doesn't sound like
it doesn't
sound like Madonna in the 80s.
Right. It doesn't sound like your typical pop song with a verse, chorus, verse, chorus.
It sounds like what artists are doing now, like retro 80s stuff, like what Sabrina Carpenter and Chappell Roan are doing. So when the song went viral in 2022, fans of the show loved it, immediately started streaming it. The week after that episode aired, the song re-entered the chart at number 8, instantly becoming Kate Bush's first top 10 hit ever in America. And it built from there, because the shocking thing is, and it could have been like a 1 or 2 week blip, radio started playing it because they were like, wow, this 40-year-old song sounds great on the radio next to Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
And it did. And people kept streaming it because beyond Stranger Things, they just liked the song. Eventually, it got to number 3.
It's just
almost
so
40 years
weird
after it was released.
So the song was literally before its time.
It very much was.
To 40 years later, come back, and almost 40 years to come back and be that big of a hit. Not just, it's doing pretty well.
It's like, it had a little bump, cool. No, it became a legit, huge top 5 hit. Spent 5 months on the charts. And partly how that happened was, one, because Winona Ryder is a big fan and pushed to get the song. And she had the sense to realize, this song is going to really work in this scene. But Kate Bush is very eccentric. She releases an album maybe once a decade. She doesn't go out in public very often, doesn't tour. She's a very private person. And so when people asked to use her music in licensing, she would always say no. But it turns out Kate Bush was a fan of Stranger Things. So when they asked to use it, she was like, of course. And I do love, and this shows just how cool and weird and sweet Kate Bush is. In 2023, after the song passed 1 billion streams, she posted, I have an image of a river that suddenly floods and becomes many, many tributaries, 1 billion streams on their way to the sea. Each one of these streams is one of you. Thank you so much for sending this song on such an impossibly astonishing journey.
That's amazing.
What a weird thing to say about, hey, cool, I got 1 billion streams.
1 billion streams, right. She's looking at it a
poet.
little bit different. She's a poet, exactly. By the way, 1 billion streams actually is probably real money. Because you hear artists, rightfully complain that it's not like they get a lot of money from streaming, but if you stream 1 billion.
And Kate Bush wrote the song, think produced it or co-produced it. Yeah, and I wouldn't be shocked if she
Right.
owns it. So she probably made a lot more money than most artists would make.
That's an amazing. But this is just as you were talking about how successful it was. This is a quick aside, but it just made me think of something that could come up in the future. Did you read this thing about Jay-Z wants to create a basically like a stock market where you can buy into the music rights, the royalties, so that you can get a piece of the royalties if you invest in that artist. So
Oh,
if
that's
you
brilliant.
so if you had said, you know what, I like Kate Bush and I think that I want to bet on her royalties, you invest some money in that, and then it takes off like this, you actually benefit from this. And I don't know how he's going to do it or if it's even going to be possible, but think about that as a fan. You get to
But
it's
can
like
you-
gambling.
But imagine
You're gambling on your favorite
So
artist.
it's sort of like companies going public and being publicly traded. If an artist does that, think of Swifties and how much they spend on like vinyl and stuff. If Taylor Swift sold stock in her career, do you know how she'd make $1 billion just from that right away?
Right.
Like that would be brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
But then you
I
got
don't
to
know who's
share all
gonna
those
do it.
royalties. I don't know.
Yeah.
Uh,
Anyway,
But that's not even the end of the Stranger Things season 4 story, because
they did a
there
lot
was a
that season.
second song. People forget this now because Running Up That Hill was so big. A second song from that season also went viral and hit the top 40, which is crazy because it's an 8.5-minute long thrash metal song from the 80s. These artists had a lot more hits than Kate Bush did in America, but this song was not one of their big chart hits in America. This was Metallica and Master of Puppets.
Master of puppets are pulling your strings, twisting your mind and smashing your dreams.
So unlikely. So at the end of that season, Joe Quinn, who's become a big star now, he was in Gladiator 2, Quiet Place Day 1. He's going to be in the Fantastic Four movie that's coming out, the Marvel movie. He played Eddie Munson, the kind of like metal guy on that season. And they had this surreal scene where he's in the upside down, the weird demon world, playing the guitar solo from Metallica's Master of Puppets to ward off demons or something.
Now, was it his favorite song? Did he fight for this? Or
I
was this
don't
the
think he
producers?
did. I think it fit the character.
Right.
But it connected with young audiences who probably have not grown up really listening to thrash metal.
Right. And that song that might have been like the first song that introduced Metallica that I ever
Really?
heard. Yeah. I just remember one of my friends playing it and I was like, what is that? It's like, oh,
Yeah.
it's Metallica. And
And it's
I didn't know
cool.
what it was.
And Metallica, even before Enter Sandman and all that in the 90s, Metallica was still selling records in the 80s. They were a big band. They weren't having hit singles because when Master of Puppets was released as a single in 86, had it debuted on the charts, it did not. If it had, the number one song then would have been Invisible Touch by Genesis. I can't see radio playing Phil Collins and Master of Puppets back to back. So the song was not a pop hit. But
Yeah.
in 2022, that song made the top 40 because of Stranger Things.
Pretty amazing.
Pretty amazing.
Yeah.
But so that's TV influencing these. Most of what we're going to talk about, obviously, is things going viral on TikTok or before TikTok on YouTube and Vine. There was a song in 2016 that, and this one's really weird because Kate Bush didn't have a lot of hits, but is a beloved artist. Metallica is Metallica. Even Imogen Heap, like we said, like she's got her fans in the industry. She's got a lot.
right.
This is a one-hit wonder who went viral and had their one hit become a hit, not only become a hit again, become bigger the second time around. And not just a one-hit wonder like, oh, they didn't have other hits. They literally never recorded another song but this one song.
They're one and done.
They were one and done because
Yeah.
this song was recorded for the So Def Bass All-Stars compilation. It was never meant to be a permanent group. It was never meant to be anything other than just a song on a compilation record. This is Ghost Town DJ's My Boo.
At night, I think of you. I want to be your lady, baby. If your game is on, give me a call.
I feel like that
love
song
that
is.
song.
I feel like that song has been a hit like 3 different times. Like I always go like, wasn't that a hit back when I was in high school? And it
Sierra
wasn't quite
sampled it.
high school. It was
Yeah,
after.
it was 96
Yeah.
when it first came out. And it did well then. It got to number 31. And I remember it felt a lot bigger than number 31 when it was out. But that's
Because it was played
Yeah.
everywhere you went out. In clubs, it was,
Yeah. And it had its moment. It went away. 20 years later, 2016, the Running Man Challenge happens. Remember when it wasn't
Yep.
just a dance trend? Everything had to be a
Yes.
challenge? And this wasn't like the old school 80s Running Man. This was the
Yeah.
Jersey Bounce Club version of it in the 2010s. But video went viral. Everybody started doing their own version of the Running Man Challenge set to My Boo. There were dinosaurs that did it, people, dinosaur costumes. A New Zealand police department did it. Everyone was doing this. It was like the Harlem Shake, like
Yes,
one of those
right.
viral things. The song actually sustained for like about 2 months, re-entered the charts, got to number 27 in 2016, and that's better than it did in '96. So this group that recorded one song for a one-off deal had it be a hit twice, 20 years apart.
Now did they write it?
There's a lot of writers on that song.
Yeah.
I think the DJs are.
Right.
They got a singer to sing it. What's funny, though, to me is that when it went viral, and I didn't realize this until I was editing the sound clip for this episode, the original single artwork from 1996, it just has My Boo written over top of like a crumbled up piece of like
Notebook
notepaper from
Yeah.
from an office. If you look, it says phone/fax in the corner. So a song that had a fax
Had a-
number on it became a hit in 2016. People probably downloaded
That's-
this or like pulled it up on Spotify and like, what's a fax?
Yeah, that's dating it for sure.
Yeah, I mean it was dated in '96, but
Kudos to them. Yeah.
yeah. So it became
From
a
the
bigger
fax
hit.
era.
Yeah, so Ghost Town
Still
DJ's
now.
biggest hit was in 2016.
Go figure.
So that's the one-hit wonder. The cool thing I see now, and there's a lot of examples of this, especially a couple years ago for some reason, is really big A-list stars having random old album cuts become hits years after the fact. In 2022, remember the show Wednesday?
Oh yeah.
About Wednesday Addams,
Yeah, Wednesday
made Jenna
Addams.
Ortega a star. There's a famous scene where she danced to a song called Goo Goo Muck by the Cramps.
Right.
But when it went viral, people took the clip of her dancing and replaced the music with Lady Gaga's song Bloody Mary.
Okay.
And that song, it was from her 2011 Born This Way album. 11 years later, it became a hit because of that. Sia had a song called Unstoppable from 2016.
Yeah.
Went viral on TikTok in 2022. Went top 40. Her first top 40 hit in years.
Was that not a hit when she first did it?
Unstoppable?
Yeah.
I don't think it was even released as a single.
Huh.
It was just, yeah.
I just
But
know
it-
the
but
song,
yeah,
but I guess that's how it was.
Yeah, but it became a hit in 2022. One of the biggest hits of 2023 it was a 6-year-old album cut by The Weeknd, who's got plenty of hits. And this is a song that it seems like he always wanted to be a hit, and it just wasn't. So when he released his Starboy album at the end of 2016, there was a song on it called Die For You. And the week the album came out, just because every song charted, this song debuted at 43, fell off the charts after a couple weeks because they were playing Starboy and the other singles
Right.
from the album. In early 2017, the song was scheduled to be released and promoted as a single for the album. But the week it was going to top 40 radio, they withdrew it and canceled the promotion. I don't know why. There's no reason online I could find for this. But it was planned to be a single. And The Weeknd clearly liked it because when he did his Highlights Greatest Hits album in 2021, he included it, even though it was not
So he
really one of
always
his hits.
Right. But clearly it was a
Yeah.
song that he felt passionately about. And
And he started promoting it for the 5th anniversary of Starboy at the end of 2021. Like, hey, remember this song from the album? This is a good song. It went viral. People started using it for all kinds of different things. And once the viral fame started building up, The Weeknd is like, this is what I needed. He shot a video for the song that was an homage to E.T. and Stranger Things. It keeps factoring into stuff here. And so then the song started to get airplay. They started pushing it. It re-entered and started charting. It went top 10. And then when it got in the top 10 and looked like it was slowing down, The Weeknd's like, no, I want this to be a number one hit. Called up his good pal Ariana Grande, threw her on a remix, and it went to number one. This is Die For You.
Even though we're going through it and it makes you feel alone, just know that I would die for you.
So it took the song over 6 years to get to number one.
well, adding Ariana Grande to it
That
certainly doesn't hurt. But to have the power to just say, I want this song to be number one. How do I do it? The only time I remember hearing artists like Michael Jackson used to say that all the time and just
It
do
would just
whatever
happen.
was, yeah, and
Yeah.
it would just make it happen. But for The Weeknd to be able to do it, and I see, I didn't know all of that behind that song. I only knew that version of it, the remix with Ariana
Yeah.
Grande. I didn't know that it was
His
An
solo
album
version,
cut
yeah, and
before.
it was years old. But and people think, well, if it was going to be a hit, they would have released it, right? Not always.
Huh.
There's lots of times they pick the wrong singles, or it's just a song
Yes.
had potential. It just needed timing. It needed it's a moment in time. And Die For You is a really catchy, great song, and now it's one of his biggest hits.
See, now I want to go home and start going through my old records. I just got to find the right trend.
Yeah. Well, you are a viral influencer, so.
Yeah, well, yes.
But talking about like old album cuts, this last one we're going to talk about is one that basically the fan base willed into being a hit 5 years after the fact. So,
Which
and
is odd that it took that
Yeah.
for this particular artist.
And this song is now Billboard ranked it as her second biggest hit of all time. So, Taylor Swift, her album Lover comes out in 2019.
Tell me again who this person is.
she's
Taylor
a
Swift?
singer. You've probably heard of her. She's had a
okay.
couple songs.
All right.
She's dating some football player or something now, I think.
Interesting. By football, you mean soccer, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Taylor Swift releases the Lover album in 2019. The lead single was the song called Me with Brendan Urie from Panic at the Disco. It's not one of my favorite Taylor Swift songs. It's not a lot of people's favorite Taylor Swift songs. It's a bit much.
Right.
It did go to number 2 because it was a new Taylor Swift song. It got blocked by Old Town Road. But then she follows it up with the song You Need to Calm Down, also peaks at number 2. Then the title song Lover gets to number 10, and then she's kind of moving on. But fans are like, why are you releasing these songs when you've got Cruel Summer sitting right there?
Uh-huh.
Like, it's such a good song. It's so catchy. It would be such a big summer hit. It just never got promoted, never got released. And
somebody just picked.
Somebody
like you
messed
said,
up
they
there.
picked the wrong.
They picked the
song.
wrong singles.
Right.
So, and it was also Taylor's first studio album in years that didn't produce a number 1 hit. And that, her fans can't let that stand.
Right.
So they love this song. It becomes a fan favorite. And Taylor knows this. So when the Eras tour starts, she always includes Cruel Summer in the sets. And fans love it. And so then they start streaming it more. And then they're like, oh, it's summer now. We got to start playing it.
Right.
Because it's summer.
Built in, right?
Yeah. So the song finally, when Lover came out, the song debuted at 29, again, because every Taylor Swift song is going to chart.
Right.
It fell off after 2 weeks. In 2023, it finally gets a push. They send it to radio. And I know you know what the song sounds like, but if you've forgotten, this is Taylor's Cruel Summer.
And it's blue, the shape of your body is blue. The feeling I got in it's blue. It's cruel summer.
So by October of 2023, once radio got on board, it went to number 1, spent 4 weeks there, spent forever on the charts, and finally gave the Lover album its first number 1 hit, almost 5 years after it came out.
Was the Lover album? What year was that?
2019.
So that's on her old label, right?
No, I think that was the
She
first one
switched
under
over?
the New Deal. But the promotion for that kind of got cut short because then March of 2020 COVID hit.
Then the pandemic comes.
Right. But that song is undeniably incredibly catchy.
Did maybe they thought that it wouldn't work as a marketing thing in the summer of 2020 because we had other issues and the title
Maybe.
Cruel Summer just doesn't work.
But it would have been a better lead single than Me. That song.
Yeah,
was
they could have
kinda
done it
annoying.
back in 2020.
That's the song where in the bridge she goes, "Spelling is fun."
Yes.
Oof. Like, why would you
Not-
lead
not a
with
high
that?
watermark.
Why lead with that when you have that song right there? And what I love, like I said, now artists don't even have to be recording anymore. Because another song that started to pick up and go viral now is Rihanna's song Breaking Dishes from her 2007 album Good Girl Gone Bad. That's the album that has Umbrella on it
Right.
and all that, a lot of hits. And fans have always loved that song. It's always been a fan favorite. And they always said back then, should have been a single, would have been a hit. And now it's streaming. It's started to debut on a couple little streaming charts. And I've seen fans say, like, if she's not going to make any more music, we're just going to take her old stuff. and
We're
make
just
it
going to
popular.
start going through the
Yeah.
old ones.
And if you're a big enough fan base, you can do that.
Yeah.
So Rihanna could have a huge hit this year with a 18-year-old
Wouldn't that be
song.
wild? Everyone is clamoring for her to drop a new album. She hasn't dropped it. She doesn't seem like she's going to anytime soon. And yet you can still... I like
Anything
this.
can be a hit now. I love it.
This is music by the people for the people.
That's right.
All right.
The people choose it, and it'll be a hit.
And then suddenly it becomes a hit years
Because, like,
later.
Cruel Summer could have been a forgotten album cut, and now it's her second biggest hit
Look,
ever.
I think we've done something good here for Taylor Swift.
She needed a
and
win.
She needed a win for sure.
And The Weeknd, that poor guy.
And we pointed out that, you know what? Say what you will about the internet. It has its upside for artists and their fans. And
Absolutely.
so you get to control the charts now.
So, yeah, pick one of your favorite songs you think people should have noticed the first time around, do a stupid dance to it, and send it to number 1.
Oh, I can think of like 5 different Prince songs. No.
there's so many songs
What
that
am I
wouldn't
gonna?
hit.
The real thing is, what am I gonna do to make it go viral?
Oh, geez, I don't even want to know what you would have to do. Well,
It
I'm
would
going to
have to
not
be
be
a lot,
thinking about
wouldn't it?
that.
Let's not think about that, and that will do it for us. We will see you next time on Get to the